Good morning, children. Welcome to English Literature class. The topic for today's tutorial is All Summer in a Day by Ray Douglas Bradbury. By the end of this video, children, you will be able to get enough information about the author of the story. Also, you will be able to understand the summary of the story. Along with that, you will be able to understand the theme of the story. Let's read about the author first. Ray Douglas Bradbury was born on August 22, 1920 in Vaughan, Illinois, to Leonard Spaulding Bradbury, a lineman for power and telephone utilities, and Esther Moberg Bradbury, a Swedish immigrant. Lineman means a person employed for a repair and maintenance of telephone or electricity power lines. Immigrant means a person who comes to a country to take up permanent residence. So, Ray Douglas Bradbury was born on August 22, 1920. His father worked as a lineman in power and telephone department and his mother belonged to Sweden. He published his first short story in a fan magazine in 1938. The same year he graduated from high school. The next year he published 4 issues of his own fan magazine, Futuria Fantasia. Nearly every piece in the magazine was written by Bradbury himself. He used a variety of pseudonyms to try to hide the fact that the magazine was a virtual one-man show. Pseudonym means a pen name used by an author. So children, Ray Bradbury published his first short story in 1938 when he completed his graduation. Further, he published 4 issues in a fan magazine which was his own. The name of the magazine was Futuria Fantasia. Most of the articles in his magazine was written by Bradbury himself, and he used different names as writers for those articles. The short story All Summer in a Day is set on the planet Venus and describes in vivid detail the day when the planet experiences sunshine, an event that occurs only once in 7 years. The scene is set in a school where the teachers and the children await the appearance of the sun. The story explores the darker side of human nature. Now children, open your treasure trove, a collection of ICSE poems and short stories workbook at page number 199. Let's begin the reading with about the story. All Summer in a Day is a story about a group of school children who live on the planet Venus with their families. They are 9 years old and they are eagerly waiting for a momentous occasion. After 7 years of continuous rain, the scientists on Venus have predicted that the sun will come out for a brief period of time. Children, note down the meanings: eagerly, curiously. Momentous, significant. The short story All Summer in a Day is about 9 years old school children who lived on the planet Venus with their families. It had been raining on the planet for 7 years, and the scientists had predicted that the sun would appear for some time after this long period of rain. The children have only seen the sun once in their lives, when they were 2 years old, but now they don't remember how it looks or feels. To prepare for the day, they have read about the sun. Now, the children were only 2 years old when they had last seen the sun. They did not remember anything about it. They expected the sun would rise that very day, so they read about the sun to prepare themselves for the day. This is true of all children, but one named Margo. All the children resent her for various reasons. Margo is a thin, pale girl. She had lived in Ohio until she was 5. She has many memories of the sun. Margot does not take part in any classroom activity that does not include the sun. In fact, she has been in a depressed state for most of time on Venus. She looks out of the window, waiting silently for the rain to stop and the sun to come out. Resent means feel bitterness. Depressed, unhappy. Now all the children were excited for the sun to come out except a girl named Margo. They hated her for a lot of reasons. Margo was a thin, pale, and quiet girl. She lived in Ohio, a state in the Midwestern region of the United States, till she was 5 years old. As she had lived on the earth for 5 years, she had many fond memories about the sun. This was the reason that she did not participate in those class activities which did not include the sun. Since she missed the sun, she spent her most of the time on Venus in sad state. That day, she was silently waiting for the sun to come up in the sky. The other children become upset about her and hide her in a closet while their teacher is gone. Margot resists, but they overpower her and lock her in a faraway closet. Resist, tries to stop, overpower, defeat. So children, the other children of the planet were not happy with her. And in this hatred, they hid her in a closet when their teacher was not present in the class. Margot tried to save herself, but in vain. After some moments, the rain stops and the sun appears. All the children run, play, and enjoy in the light of the sun. After some time, the rain clouds appear. The sun retreats and the rain begins to fall. A girl remembers that Margot is still in the closet. The girls then walk towards the closet where they left Margot. They unlock the door and Margot slowly comes out, appears, comes out, retreats, moves backward. Now after some time the rain stopped and the sun came out in the sky. All the children played and enjoyed in the light of the sun. Within few moments the sun faded behind the clouds and the rain again began to fall. Suddenly a girl remembered that Margot was still locked in the closet. They all ran towards the closet and unlocked Margot. She slowly came out of it. The writer wants to convey that the power of the sun over the children living on Venus is notable. They are pale and colorless. The lack of the sun has washed their compassion and consideration and empathy for other people. They do not regain this until the sun reappears. The sun is life-giving for the landscape as well as the inhabitants of Venus. Children, note down the meanings. Notable, remarkable. Compassion, feeling. Consideration, thought. Empathy, the ability to understand another person's thoughts and feelings. Regain, recover. Landscape, visible feature of an area of a land. Inhabitants, residents. So children, the story explores the darkest side of the human nature, that is jealousy and bullying. The children hated and bullied Margot throughout the story. In the story, the author has highlighted the importance of sun, which brought back positive energy in the feelingless children. Let's move to the detailed summary of the story now. Life without the sun. All Summer in a Day is a story about a group of school children who live on the planet Venus with their families. They are 9 years old and they are eagerly waiting a momentous occasion. After 7 years of continuous rain, The scientists on Venus have predicted that the sun will come out for a brief period of time. The children have seen the sun once in their lives, but then they were 2 years old and they don't remember how it looks or feels. To prepare for the day, they have read about the sun and completed classroom activities. They have also written a poem about the sun. Momentous, significant. So, children, All Summer in a Day is an interesting story where the teacher, along with the students, were waiting for the sun to appear on the planet Venus. The scientists had predicted that the sun would appear for a very short duration of time. When the last time the sun appeared in the sky, the children were just of 2 years. So they had fainted memories of the sun in their minds. They were too young to recall the memories of the sun. To mark the day, they had prepared sun-related stories, poems, and essays. All the children have done this except one named Margo. She is a thin, pale girl whom the other children resent for various reasons. She had lived in Ohio until she was 5. She still has many memories of the sun, and the sun continues to fascinate her. Margot does not like to participate in any classroom activity that does not include the sun. In fact, she has been in a depressed state on Venus. It was heard that her parents were planning to take her away from the underground colony on Venus and send her back on Earth. Fascinate, attract, depressed, unhappy. Now, amongst those children, there was a girl named Margo, who was a thin and pale girl. The other children hated her for several reasons. She had come from Ohio at the age of 5 years. She was so attracted to the sun that she did not participate in any activity which did not include the sun. She was living there in a depressed mood, and it was heard that her parents were planning to send her away back to Earth from the planet Venus because she was feeling uneasy there due to continuous rain. Margot locked in a closet. Margot looks out of the window, waiting silently for the rain to stop and the sun to come out. The other children begin to dislike her and taunt her. One of the boys jokes with her. It was all a joke, wasn't it? Nothing's happening today. Suddenly, the children decide to hide Margot in a closet while their teacher is gone. Margot resists but is overpowered and locked in a faraway closet. Taunt, mock, and insult. Resist, tries to fight back. Overpowered, kept hold. As Margot kept on looking out of the window and waiting silently for the rain to stop and the sun to come out, the other children hated her as well as made fun of her. They hid Margot in a closet when the teacher was not there in the class. Margot tried to save herself, but all in vain. The sun appears briefly. The teacher returns and they all go to the tunnel's exit as she thinks everyone is present and accounted for from her class. Then, moments later, the rain stops and the sun appears. All the children leave the tunnel and run around and enjoy the sun. It is unlike anything they could imagine. They are extremely happy and say, "It's better than the sun lamps, isn't it?" As they run around the jungles of Venus. The teacher tells them, "Now don't go too far. You have only 2 hours, you know. You would not want to get caught out." But they were running and turning their faces up to the sky and feeling the sun on their cheeks like a warm iron. They were taking off their jackets and letting the sun burn their arms. Tunnel, an artificial underground passage, accounted to give a reason. So finally, the day came when they all witnessed the sun along with their teacher. They ran, played, and enjoyed in the light of sun. They were overjoyed. They removed their jackets to let the sun burn their arms. Teacher was instructing them not to go so far as they had only 2 hours of flight. Change in the children's attitude towards Margo. After playing and enjoying the weather, one of the girls cries out because she is carrying a big fat raindrop in her hand. She says, "Oh, look, look." They come slowly to look at her opened palm. They stand for a moment, thinking about how wonderful the sun feels on their skin. While they do this, the rain clouds move in. They turn and start to walk back towards the underground house. Their smiles vanish. A boom of thunder startles them, and like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumble upon each other and run. Lightning strikes 10 miles away, 5 miles away, a mile and a half mile. The sky darkens into midnight in a flash. They stand in a doorway of the underground doorway for a moment until it is raining hard. Then they close the door and hear the gigantic sound of the rain falling in tons. Palm, part of human hand. Boom of thunder, loud noise after lightning. Startles, feel sudden shock. Gigantic, monstrous. So after 2 hours of merriment, they returned to the tunnel with the fresh memories of the sun. The children lost track of time in their playing and basking in the sunlight. And before they knew it, continuous raindrops began to fall again. This brought tears in the eyes of some of the children, and they began sadly returning to the school as the last rays of the sunlight were replaced by rain clouds. They asked their teacher, "Will it be 7 more years?" Then one of them gives a little cry. "Margot, what? She is still in the closet where we locked her." They stand as if someone has driven them like so many stakes into the floor. They look at each other and then look away. They glance out at the world that is raining now and raining steadily. They cannot meet each other's glances. Their faces are solemn and pale. They look at their hands and feet, their faces down. "Margot," one of the girls says. "Well, no one moves. Go on," whisper the girls. They walk slowly down the hall, the sound of the cold rain. They turn through doorway to the room into the sound of the storm and thunder, lightning on their faces blue and terrible. They walk over to the closet door slowly and stand by it. Behind the door is only silence. They unlock the door even more slowly and let Margot out. Children, note down the meanings. Driven, pushed or controlled. Stakes, danger. Glance, a quick short look. Solemn, serious. Whisper, to speak in a low voice. Now the children were asking their teacher when the sun would appear next. Would it appear after the next 7 years? Suddenly one of the girls in the group remembered that Margot was still in the closet. They looked toward each other and ran. Their faces were serious and pale. They reached towards the closet and stood in complete silence. They unlocked the door and Margot slowly emerged out of the closet. So this was all about summary of the story. I hope children you have understood well. Let's move to the theme of the story now. In this story, All Summer in a Day, the writer wants to convey that the appearance of the sun for the children living on Venus is very significant. They are pale and colorless. They are passive both physically and emotionally. The lack of the light of the sun has dried their compassion and consideration for others. They don't gain the humanity until they spend some time in the light of the sun. The sun is life-giving for the landscape as well as the inhabitants of Venus. Compassion, feeling. Consideration, thought. Inhabitant, residents. Here the writer through this story brings out the message that the visibility of the sun is very significant in everyone's life for the positivity, especially for the residents of the Venus, because the lack of the sunlight had vanished empathy from their lives. The writer illustrates this theme by depicting the life of a group of the school children on the planet Venus. The children are 9 years old and living with their families. After 7 years of continuous rain, the scientists on Venus have predicted that the sun will come out for a brief period of time. Through the short story All Summer in a Day, the writer explains that a group of school children of 9 years living on the planet Venus were overexcited on the scientists' prediction that the sun would appear in the blue sky for 2 hours. The children have seen the sun once in their lives, but they were 2 years old and they don't remember how it looks or feels. So they are eagerly waiting to see the sun. This is true of all children, but one named Margo. She had lived in Ohio until she was 5. She has many memories of the sun. So, without the sun, she has been in a depressed state. She looks out of the window, waiting silently for the rain to stop and the sun to come out. The other children resent her and lock her in a closet while their teacher is gone. Margot resists but is overpowered and is locked in a faraway closet. Depressed, unhappy, resent, feel bitterness, resist, tries to stop, overpowered, defeat. Now the children were 2 years old when the last time the sun appeared. They were too young to recall the appearance of the sun. They were of 9 years and were very curious to see the sun. Amongst those children, there was a girl named Margo. She was in Ohio when she was of 5 years. She had many fond memories of the sun in her mind. But here at Venus, the absence of the sun made her feel unhappy. As all the children hated her, and in their hatred, they locked her in a closet. Margot tried to save herself, but in vain. After some moments, the rain stops and the sun appears. All the children run, play, and enjoy the light of the sun. After some time, the rain clouds appear, the sun retreats, the rain begins to fall. A girl remembers Margot, who is locked in the closet. Then all the children walk towards the closet, unlock the door, and let Margot come out. Their attitude towards Margot changes after they have spent some time in the light of the sun. Retreats, moves backward. Finally, the rain stopped and the sun appeared in the blue sky. One of the girls in the group remembered that Margot was still locked in the closet. They all ran towards the closet and unlocked her, but could not meet each other's glances. Now the appearance of the sun had changed their behavior toward Margot. They feel shame and remorse at what they did. This is something positive. So that's all for today's session, children. I hope you have understood the story well. Your homework for today is to solve the homework given in your SNAP homework. Thank you.